مساء الخير، تحية لكل المتابعين والمشاهدين، وأهلا وسهلا بكم جميعا في الحفل السنوي للمجلس الأمريكي لحقوق الإنسان. طبعا هذه السنة عام استثنائي مر على الجميع، ولهذا السبب اخترنا أن لا نفوت هذه الفرصة دون أن نتحدث مع جمهورنا وأصدقائنا في ولاية ميشيغان وفي الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية وخارج الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. On behalf of the American Human Rights Council, AHRC, I would like to welcome all of you, all our friends, supporters, for being part of our annual Spirit of Humanity Gala for this year. As you well know, COVID-19 was a nightmare, impacted all of our life. It changed our lifestyle. Indeed, it's a temporary phase. We have no doubt that humanity will overcome and we will conquer and we will claim back our lives. This is exceptional times, trying times, difficult times. Every one of us being impacted with it somehow, some way. In that spirit, we would like to start our program, a program that we planned for the night, that we hope that you enjoy, and we ask you to please invite friends, share it with others, invite all to be part of the show. We hope that our program tonight will not be boring, be interesting, and that you enjoy it. We will start with the national anthem performed by our own advisory board member, Dr. Timur.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We will proceed with the prayer of peace with Imam Turk and Father George. Let's start with Imam Turk and a joint prayer. Imam, we're not hearing you. Imam, unmute yourself to speak. We did not hear you.
My apology. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Proceed.
During this time of health crisis, we are reminded God Almighty in His holy book, the Quran, informs, and we shall most certainly test you with fear and hunger, and loss of property, lives, diseases and death, and crops. But give good news, O prophet, to those who are patient in adversity, those who, when afflicted with a calamity, say, we belong to God, and to him we shall return. Chapter 2, verses 155 and 156. Let us pray. In the name of God, the most compassionate, the ever merciful, praise be to God, Lord of the worlds, Master of the day of judgment. O God, the dispenser of grace, bestow upon us your favor. Save us from the deadly disease, the coronavirus. Heal all victims of COVID-19. You are the only healer, and there is no cure except that of yours. O God of mercy, we ask you to comfort the families who lost their loved ones, and to grant them peace and solace. Grant us patience as we endure the pandemic. We seek refuge in you from all forms of trials. Blessed are you, O Lord, and exalted. There is no place of safety from you except with you. O God, we implore you for help and beg forgiveness of you, and believe in you, and rely on you, and praise you, and we are grateful to you. Amen.
Heavenly Father, who are all places, treasure of good things and giver of life, we beseech you tonight as we bless all those in the human right virtual banquet. Lord, we ask that you make us not only endorse peace, but makes us people who can make peace. We pray, O Lord, as you have created this earth, that you will send upon us a new day by removing this coronavirus from all over the world, and let us enjoy a new day to be together so others can look at us and say, blessed are you, the people of peace, for heavenly Lord and heavenly earth, especially during this holy season. May heaven touch the earth with a new medicine and vaccine. Bless all those who are first respondent and heal all the sick. And bless us as we gather for this banquet. Amen.
COVID-19, COVID-19, COVID-19. This became the most famous word that everybody being so exhausted by. We lost loved ones, and almost every family was somehow, some way impacted. The pain, the agony, the fear, the unknown, the uncertain. We, as the AHRC family, as much as we were impacted by the COVID-19, we lost one of our own, a very dear brother, a very dear friend, a solid ally, and a founder and a member of AHRC, the late Isaac Robinson. Our galas, our events as AHRC will never, never, ever be the same without Isaac. Although we are sure that his spirit will continue to be with us and live with us as we proceed to survive and to keep his legacy alive. In a moment of respect and in loving memory for Isaac and for all who this evil COVID-19 claimed, we run this short video prepared by his own photographer, Abbas Shihab, who was with him in every occasion. So we salute Isaac today, and we promise that in the future we will be paying a tribute, a special tribute to someone like Isaac, who gave politics the right meaning, the good meaning. He was and he is irreplaceable public servant. We will never forget you, Isaac. Now, with our own president of the American Human Rights Council Board, Dr. Saleh Musleh, and the board's remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Saleh Musleh, president of the board of AHRC. On behalf of the boards, I'd like to welcome each and every one of you, our honored guest, as well as our featured guest, the comedian. On behalf of the board, I'd like to thank all the participants, all the donors and contributors to this program. AHRC, as you know, is an organization that is dedicated to what its name stands for, human rights all the way. We have a very good program tonight. I just want to thank the board members, all the participants, and our guest. Of course, I'd like to thank Ahmed Ahmed for being dedicated to this very worthy cause. And we have an excellent program tonight, let's proceed with that.
Education Management and Networks, EMAN, is a full-service management company servicing charter schools primarily in the state of Michigan. With a combined experience that exceeds 60 years, our team provides high-quality operational, financial, and instructional services to a number of schools within the Metro Detroit area and beyond. We work hand in hand with our community to provide the best for our kids.
The challenge facing us, facing the nation, facing the world is not over. In this spirit, we salute all the first responders, the medical team, the health personnel, the essential workers, every one of those who put their lives on the front line to keep us safe. And in that regard, we salute a number of community organizations who truly made a big difference. And despite the COVID-19 fear and restrictions, they did a great job on behalf of humanity. I would mention a few. One of them is the MMCC, the ICD, the DRMM, the Salvation Army, AHRC in Detroit, and many others who did not despair a minute, a second, without being out there and providing help and assistance for those who are in dire need. That's the beauty of humanity. When we talk about human rights, we talk about universal rights. We talk about God-made rights, not man-made rights. And we are committed, dedicated as AHRC to protect, promote, defend, and advance. In that spirit, it's my pleasure to introduce one of the guardian of justice, the Dean of the Oakland County Circuit Court, Judge Morris.
Welcome, everyone, to the first virtual gala by the American Human Rights Council. Thank you, American Human Rights Council, for inviting me to share in this special evening. And we know our brother Isaac is here with us, there's no doubt. Thank you, Ahmed, my friend, our fearless leader, to the president, the board, and all of the volunteers. Thank you for all of your active work, for being engaged and advocating for human rights for all over the world. Thank you for being concerned and bringing in speakers, guest speakers, and volunteers that have done hard work throughout the entire country and beyond. You've shared on human rights, protecting victims, advocating for veterans affairs, criminal justice reforms, prisoners' rights, access to medical care, access to justice for all, including children, adults, the elderly, disabled, and of course, the poor. You have promoted fairness and justice and equality. You've been recognized by the United Nations. And for those watching, if this is your first experience, I hope you will join us. In 2021, there's no doubt, we will be together and in person at some point in the future, and you will see all of the races, ethnicities, religious backgrounds, ages, sexes, everyone filled together in one room with joy and peace. I pray that this pandemic ends, and I know that I will see you all and look forward to seeing you. God bless you, Ahmed, the entire board, Mr. President. I look forward to seeing you and all of my brothers and sisters that are watching. Stay safe.
no work can be done by any one organization alone. It's always a community work together. That work represent and reflect a mosaic of different programs, different successes that we as a community take great pride in. In this spirit, one of our community leaders, a vocal voice for community empowerment and mobilization, Brother Abdullah Sheikh.
Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We like today to thank so much American Human Rights Council, its director, Mr. Ahmed Ahmed, and the board, and the president, Dr. Saleh Musleh. As you can see, and through the whole year, and through this very difficult time that everyone knows about it, something we have not seen in 100 years, this is a time where we saw American Human Rights Council and other civil organizations and great individuals and volunteers went down and show their presence. We saw those articles every week, almost, or every day, talking about the Disability Day, National Coffee Day with the cup, September 11, and all that day that remind us and put us and guide us, on the right track and put a nice perspective to whatever we do. In addition, helping people out in prison during COVID, get them out of prison, and some community members that need, urgent help. So we thank you so much. We salute you, and we just wish today, we are in December, everyone can, give a small donation for those organization, especially AHRC. It's an organization that has no government behind it. We are the people, who are busy with life, who have our own businesses or our own, jobs, our own income. There are some somebody with us taking care of our, weakest people. So, we are in a great month. We ask everyone, including myself, to step up to the game and donate. And as usually I do, to help my cause, I would like to match any donation from now until midnight. I like to go ahead and match it so I can get double the reward, and hopefully the AHRC get double the reward. So hopefully together we can at least pay back, pay back even little bit what this organization do through the whole year. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Well, I have to tip off my hat to Brother Abdullah Sheikh. our heartfelt appreciation. He's a very generous man. He's supportive to all many good causes around. And for him to put a challenge to match the donation, if we get any tonight, that's really heart-touching and really, really gracious of him. We proceed with the program with Professor Mike Thomas, a board member. Please.
Welcome to AHRC Spirit of Humanity Gala 2020. What a challenging year we're having. For many years, we have all gathered to support AHRC. It is unfortunate that we cannot be in the same room tonight to share greetings and shake hands. However, it is imperative that our support and donations are still shared with AHRC. So as you enjoy tonight, as we have in past years, please don't forget to make a donation to AHRC. And because the donations are going to be matched by my good friend Abdullah Sheikh, let's make him write us a big check. So until we can gather again, I'm asking all of you to stay safe and enjoy this evening. Thank you all for attending our gala.
Watching my kids get taken from me, it still kind of makes me emotional.
We definitely hit rock bottom. We were there. I'm worried that it affected Emma quite a lot.
I'm so proud of my mom and dad because they've grown since they've been in the Salvation Army. Now they pay more attention to us instead of towards other things.
Now, when we talk about empowerment and community future, we talk about the young and the youth. And no better one to speak on their behalf, except or but one who lived through the experience with the AHRC since its inception and now, with Bashar Kashkush Speiti.
Hey everyone, I hope everyone's having a good evening. First and foremost, I want to express my gratitude to the AHRC for having me and for allowing me to be a part of their cause for the past few years. Unfortunately, we lost a true gem with Mr. Isaac Robinson. And for me, these events will never feel the same without all the energy and love that he brought with him. His loss is truly devastating for all of us, but he'll forever live on within our spirit and within the spirit of AHRC. Human rights will always be an important issue to me, as it should be for all of you. And it's not an issue that'll go away in one day or 1 week. We have to stay vigilant and keep on working to further the cause. I know that these are extremely tough times for all and that we're in uncharted waters. But it's very important that we continue this work and the fight for human rights. I'm very grateful to the AHRC for all the selfless work that they do, and I'm very honored to be a part of their organization. It's important that we keep supporting the AHRC despite these tough times, whether that be with grassroots efforts or donations. We should really be doing all we can. Thank you guys.
Blessings to all. I'm Dr. D.L. Timor, Executive Director of Calvary House U.S. Veteran Support, pastor of Mount Olive Multicultural Community Church, and proud AHRC Advisory Board member. I've had the pleasure of knowing my brother and colleague Ahmed Ahmed for over a decade now, and the honor of serving the AHRC, especially during the social justice roundtables and COVID crisis discussions. This is why I am more than willing to continue supporting this organization and encourage others to do the same financially and with time. When you support the AHRC, you are upholding an organization that in turn upholds and fights for the rights of our brothers and sisters of all colors, creeds, and nationalities. When you support the AHRC, you support the dignity, respect, and well-being of all people.
No question that we cannot proceed further with our work serving the cause of a human right and to advance the culture of a human respect and human dignity without the generous support of our sponsors and supporters. We would like you to take a serious notice of those who supported our gala this year, despite all the difficulties, despite all the hard times, the exceptional times, despite the hardships, despite the challenges. Those supporters who managed to help us proceed with our work to serve who are in dire need for our services as a human rights advocacy organization and service organization. We salute them, we thank them. And I'm sure throughout the program, you will see the list of those sponsors, proud supporters who managed to help us stay the course and move forward. Tonight's guest is someone that I don't need to elaborate much introducing him. He's internationally renowned comedian, well-known, been in numerous shows all over the country. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest for the night, Ahmed Ahmed.
Hi, assalamu alaikum, marhaba. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me on this program. As you all know, it's been a very difficult time due to COVID for everybody. So we really appreciate you organizing this this virtual session. I've done a couple of these since COVID hit, these comedy Zoom calls and that kind of thing. And they're a little bit, harder to navigate because you don't hear laughter and there's no interaction. So I'm going to do my best here. Thank you guys so much for having me on board. What a great organization to be a part of. And what a great time for politics right now. We have a new president in office. That makes me happy. I think it makes a lot of people happy. The 4 years Trump was in office, it wasn't easy being a Muslim with the name Ahmed Ahmed. It was bad enough after 9/11 and ISIS became relevant. And then Donald Trump, when he came into office, it just escalated everything. And so I had a funny thing happen to me last May on Mother's Day 2019. I was in Naples, Florida doing a comedy show. And I do a joke that I've done 1,000 times all over the world. It's on YouTube, it's on a couple clips. But I basically asked the audience, the live audience, hey, any Middle Eastern or Muslim people in the crowd? And typically a few people will clap and I say, hey, that's great. There's a small group of us here, but hey, it only takes one of us to tell a joke. It only takes one of us to tell a joke. But seriously, lock the doors. Okay, so it gets like a hesitant laugh, but it gets a laugh. There was a guy in the audience who we found out later was and is a Trump supporter. And he called 911 on me because he thought that I said, oh, there's enough Middle Eastern and Muslim people here to start our own little terrorist organization, which I didn't say. And I just thought it was funny because I wear a lot of Under Armour gear. Terrorists don't wear Under Armour. I do meet and greets after my shows. I shake your hand. I take a picture if you ask me. I thank you for coming out. Terrorists don't do meet and greets either. And I just thought it was so absurd that he would call 911 on me, because in his mind, he thought that a terrorist leader was sending recruits to a comedy club in Naples, Florida to get members. I mean, it's absurd. Anyway, the next day I go to my show, and 2 cops showed up, 2 Naples, Florida police officers, a black female cop and a Mexican male cop. And I thought it was interesting. They sent two ethnic cops down for my dispatch. In any case, the guy called. He came to the show Saturday. He thought that I used the word we're gonna use our own start our own terrorist organization, and then he called 911 the next day, like the next morning. So he slept on the emergency. You know, he thought about it. Anyway, 2 cops show up, and they were very embarrassed to be there. You could tell they were kind of hanging their heads a little low and ashamed to be there. And I said, "Hi, officers, is everything okay?" And they said, "Are you Ahmed Ahmed?" I said, "Yeah." "Are you the comedian that performed here last night?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I heard somebody called 911 on me over a joke." And they were like, "Yeah." And I was like, "So what happens?" And they were like, "We just had to come check you out. Don't change any of your material. Just keep doing what you're doing." And I pulled out my cell phone and I said, "Can I record this?" And the black female cop looked at me and she said, "Baby, you can record whatever you want." So I recorded them interviewing me, and then I posted it on Twitter that night. Just the interview from the police officers. It's about 2.5, 3 minutes long. I woke up the next morning, it went viral. 1,000 retweets, people commenting, full-blown international argument going on about Islamophobia, freedom of speech, racism towards Arabs, what can you say, what can't you say, all that stuff. I actually got pushed out of the conversation. It wasn't even about me anymore. But then I started getting calls from the press, New York Post, New York Times, CNN, BBC, TMZ, KFC. They were all calling me. And it made global news for about 15 minutes. I had 15 minutes of free press. And I remember a lot of my friends calling me and saying, "Are you mad at the 911 caller for doing that?" And I said, "No, I want to take him on the road with me. This guy got me the most press I've ever gotten in my life. I want to find out who he is and call him up and thank him and send him a gift basket." I actually did find out who the guy was, because he gave himself up in the call. If you go on YouTube, somebody actually animated the call. You can just Google or YouTube, Florida man calls 911 on Muslim comedian. In the call, he says, "I come there every week. I was there with my wife. We get free tickets." So we did like this database cross-check or whatever. We found out who the guy was. And I found him on Facebook, and I sent him a friend request on Facebook. And he replied with, "How do we know each other?" And I said, "You know how we know each other. You made me famous for 15 minutes. It was a very interesting time in my life, because you can't buy that type of publicity. And the fact that it happened, it was just great timing. I remember the 911 operator sending me a message on Twitter saying, you know, "Sorry about this. I took the call. I sent the cops down. This is not a good look for Naples." So in any case, it was a weird time to be a Muslim comedian in America. We'll see if that changes anytime soon. I think it's just a weird time to be a Muslim in America in general. I'm 50 years old. I'm still single. I've never been married. I don't have kids. My poor Egyptian parents, especially my mother, very intent on me getting married. She said, "Ahmed, you need to find a nice Muslim girl. Maybe there's a dating app for Muslims." And she's right. There is a dating app for Muslims. It's called Muzmatch. M-U-Z Match. And I went on for about a day, and I got right off because, sorry, I didn't know what any of the women looked like. Every profile was like, hello, my name is Nadia. I'm like, oh, you have a very beautiful profile. Do you have another picture? No problem. I was binge watching a lot of comedy during the pandemic. I was watching a lot of shows I probably would have never watched. I binged watch The Bachelor. I don't know if you guys are watching The Bachelor. I was always asking myself, where's the Muslim Bachelor? Huh? Where's that guy? You can't have a Muslim Bachelor because the show will be done after the first episode, right? He just goes up and says, yeah, I'll take all of them. And then khalas, the show's over. If you notice this little Band-Aid, I burned myself cooking. That's right. I'm not a classically trained chef, but I do know how to cook. I like using a lot of spices, something my dad forced on me when I was a kid. I would be like 8, 9 years old. We're sitting at the dinner table, and my dad would give me these hot peppers. And I'd say, Baba, they're too hot. I can't eat them. No. It will put hair on your chest. Trust me. He was right. It put hair on my chest, on my face, on my legs, on my back. It gave me a lot of hair. My dad, God bless him, he was in the hospital recently, found out he has to go on dialysis, and he smoked a lot for many years. And I don't know if that had anything to do with some of his organ functions or lack thereof. But he smoked cigarettes for 40 years. My dad was a rapid smoker. He smoked 2 packs a day. Had a heart attack. Ended up in the hospital. Open heart surgery. My dad had open heart surgery. They had to cut him open like a frog. They ripped everything out, put it back in. But he was cracking jokes right after the surgery. We're Egyptian, so they say dem khafif. We're light-blooded, right? And my dad was in the hospital, and I guess when he opened his eyes after the anesthetic wore off, there were 2 nurses hovering over him. And he looked up and he said, "What I am?" And one of the nurses said, "I see you." And he said, "I see you too, but what I am?" And they started laughing. And she said, "That's very funny, Mr. Ahmed. Are you okay?" He said, "Yes, I am okay. I am okay, thanks God. Thanks God. I know I cannot be dead. This is not heaven. There is only 2 of you." And that got a laugh. Going back to my mom and dad, very traditional, practicing Muslims. Again, mother, Egyptian Muslim mother, telling me I need to get married. You have to get married. So, I was joking around with her one night, and I said, maybe I just want to be with more than one woman. She's Muslim. She said, that is okay. You see, Ahmed, in Islam, you're allowed up to 4 wives, but you have to treat them all the same. If you buy one a house, you buy all 4 a house of equal value. If you buy one a car, you buy all 4 a car of equal value. Even if you make love with one a certain way, it's the same across the board. And my dad, of course, was in the corner of the room smoking a cigarette like, it's not worth it. You want 4 of these, really? You'll go broke. Trust me. That was a true test from God. He's in a documentary that I made. It's on YouTube. It's called Just Like Us. It's out there for free. I made it 10 years ago. There's a lot of famous comedians in the documentary. Sebastian Maniscalco, Whitney Cummings, Maz Jobrani's in it. And we went to Dubai, Lebanon, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. And if you go on YouTube, and you can just write this down, YouTube, Cross-Cultural Productions. Cross-Cultural Productions on YouTube. You will find the documentary there for free. There's a kids version, like an educational version. Anyway, we shot 200 hours of footage, and we put my dad in the movie, and it premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival, and it got all these accolades. And my dad's only in the movie for 5 minutes. So when I told him, hey, Baba, people said they loved you the most. 98% of the people who watched the movie said you were their favorite character. And my dad looked at me and he said, maybe I should get an agent. And my mom was like, Buck, no, that's don't believe in what he's saying. That's crap. And he's like, 98%, the numbers don't lie. And then we got accepted to the Tribeca Film Festival, which is Robert De Niro's film festival. So my dad got to meet Robert De Niro, and he was super nice. He was like, you're the guy in the movie. And of course, my dad had no idea who De Niro was. They talked for a couple minutes. I got pushed out of the conversation. And De Niro looks at me and he says, I love your dad, but I got no clue what he's saying. And then he walked away. And my dad was like, I just met Johnny De Niro. He's a good guy. I said, it's Robert De Niro. In any case, somebody in Barack Obama's camp when President Barack Obama was in office had attended the Tribeca Film Festival and had seen my documentary. I took 10 American comics to like the countries I mentioned, Dubai, Lebanon, Egypt, Saudi. We performed in front of 20,000 Arabs and Muslims. And there's a segment where Barack Obama's in it, some news footage we have him in it. In any case, one of his reps or people that worked at the White House were at the Tribeca Film Festival and saw my film. And so then I got this email a couple weeks later saying, Dear Mr. Ahmed Ahmed, the President of the United States, Barack Obama, cordially invites you to the White House for his annual iftar dinner. Please RSVP ASAP. So I'm a comedian. I thought somebody was playing a joke on me. So I replied back, LOL, who's this? And they replied right back. They said, it's a real invite. Please let us know if you're going to attend. So I did. I flew to DC. I showed up at the White House. There were about 150 very nicely dressed Muslims lingering outside. I'm not going to lie. It looked a little shady. Okay. I thought a net was going to drop on us. I'm like, hey, we got 150 of them, 100, billion more to go. And then we got escorted into the White House. We sat down. A lot of news cameras were there, CNN, BBC, Fox News, live streaming it. I was sitting in the front right where the podium is, where the president was going to speak. My friends were text messaging me saying, hey, man, I'm watching CNN. They're doing a Muslim dinner at the White House. There's a guy sitting in the front row who looks just like you. And I texted them back. I said, that's me. I'm here. I'm here. And they replied and said, man, you're like Forrest Gump. You just show up in these famous places and nobody knows who you are. In any case, President Barack Obama walked in. I met him very briefly. He couldn't have been nicer. And I said, hey, we were in the Middle East doing stand-up comedy the same day you were there to meet the King of Saudi Arabia. And Barack Obama said, oh, yeah, what were you doing in Saudi? I said, we were there doing stand-up comedy shows. He said, in English? I said, yeah. And they get it? I said, yeah, they breathe too. They're human beings. I brought a copy. I gave it to your assistant. I'd love for you to watch it. He said, how long is your documentary? I said, it's 72 minutes. He said, well, I can't promise you 72, but I'll give you 30. And then he walked away. And I was thinking to myself, well, can you get Michelle to watch the other 42 minutes? Because that would be helpful, Mr. Barack Obama. What else did I want to leave you with? I'll leave you with one last thing. Muslims have a bad rap because we're just misunderstood. The religion, the cultural aspect, the diversity of it all. What people don't realize is, and there's a book out there that a friend of mine published called 1001 Inventions. It's 1001 inventions that were discovered that Muslims had created. So we're responsible for a lot of inventions that people around the world use that they don't even know were invented by Muslims. Like Muslims invented the mechanical clock, which is ironic because we're always late for everything. I think Muslims are like, yeah, I'll get there when I get there. I invented time. We invented we invented the toothbrush, soap, and deodorant. So what happened there? Huh? Little mix-up. What was the other thing we invented? The pencil, the camera. Anyway, there's no real joke in there, but we're responsible for a lot of that stuff. And I think that's it for me. It's very strange to try to perform stand-up comedy or sit-down comedy into a camera on an iPad with no audience in front of you and nobody responding. So I can't tell or hear if anybody was laughing. I hope you were out there. Not quite sure how many people are tuning in, but please support this organization. Thank you guys very much for having me. I'm always posting stuff on my Instagram at Ahmed Comedy, AHMED Comedy, and it's an honor to be a part of this thing. I'm sorry I couldn't be with you guys live for the date we had scheduled due to COVID, but inshallah, when the vaccine is widely spread and we can put a cap on this thing, we will revisit this and live to fight another day. Thank you guys so much. Assalamu alaikum, and best of luck. Thank you guys so much.
What a show. Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Ahmed, joining us from California. We understand the difficulty, and this is really hard to perform comedy with no audience or virtual. Actually, this is a challenge facing all. It's an awkward situation for us as AHRC, and you can tell if my performance was not that good, it's because it's our first experience, and this is something we have to learn, something we have to adapt, something we have to adjust to. Actually, we've been doing all of our AHRC work throughout the year, right after the pandemic, by remote, and we did a great job. It's totally different when you talk about a show and going through this experience, but definitely it's a learning experience. I would like to thank Mr. Ahmed Saber. Ahmed Saber is a founding member of AHRC. I know he's the CEO and president of Iman, but he is the one who really invited Mr. Ahmed and hosted Mr. Ahmed and brought him to the AHRC show. In that regard, I'd like to move forward with a message from Mr. Saber, a board member, followed by the other two treat guests, and we wrap this show.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for attending our virtual gala. American Human Rights Council continues to work during these challenging times to continue its mission of providing a voice to those without one, providing a bridge between government agencies and the people in need of those services, and advocating for the rights of those people who are in need of justice. We live in a time in history that will be studied by future generations as one of those crossroads in history. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." So if you believe in justice and human rights for all, whether they're white or black, Christian or Muslim, woman or man, rich or poor, please support our cause by donating generously so we can continue our work. Thank you and enjoy the night.
Women empowerment is a very challenging task, and AHRC has been dedicated to empowering, mobilizing, and advancing women's rights. Women's rights are simply human rights. AHRC took an initiative to have an AHRC women delegation participate in one of the prominent United Nations annual women conferences. One of those members who joined the AHRC women delegation last year, which unfortunately was canceled due to the COVID this year, was attorney Alison Flomar. Please help me welcome her to the show.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so very much. In March 2019, Ahmed and AHRC gave me the humanitarian honor of a lifetime. They sent me to be one of the representatives of AHRC at the United Nations Women's Conference in New York. On behalf of AHRC, I was engaged in a dialogue amongst 17,000 women. Purpose, the universal empowerment of women. You see, this humanitarian effort shifted the stratosphere of my thinking as I spoke with sisters in the struggle for equality from Beijing, Serbia, Slovenia, Slovakia, and Senegal. I realized one thing, that I entered that commission looking in wonder through my American-made lenses. I was on fire to discuss issues concerning shattering the glass ceiling and putting a woman in the White House as president or vice president, much like we in America have recently accomplished, thank God. But then my sister to my left was fighting to end female genitalia mutilation in Egypt. And my sister warrior to the right was working on renewing existing commitments to end abject poverty for women in Serbia. It was then that I caught on to the global fight for what equality for women really looked like universally. As an attorney who fights for the rights of women, children, and families all over this country, I return home with a renewed purpose to fight harder and do more to change policies for marginalized souls in desperate need of a voice in the seeming wilderness called our justice system. So in January of 2020, I was eager to return for a new experience that would refresh me to do more in our community. So in the beginning of March, my bags were packed, and the anticipation of what I would take away from the United Nations Conference in 2020 for women could not have been greater. But as you well know, the beginning of March was the beginning of the pandemic in America. I went to the conference anyway, thinking that there would at least be an opening ceremony. Much to my disappointment, that too was canceled. The long story short was, while I was there, I contracted COVID. Thank God Almighty that I was okay. I only tell you this to emphasize to you the spirit of humanity is a spirit that cannot be broken. It is one of compassion. It is one of the audacity of hope, fight, and change. And family, this is the tireless work that Ahmed Ahmed and AHRC accomplishes every single day. God bless you. May He continue to strengthen you as you work onward and never, ever, ever give up this fight. Thank you for all you do to contribute and donate to this worthy cause. Thank you.
Well, she didn't tell us, but we already knew that she was doing drugs.
I wish she would be up and having fun with us and letting us go outside.
Since he came out from Salvation Army, he's different.
Joyful.
Honest.
Continuing with the voices of women as leaders, I would like to introduce and welcome one of our proud supporters, Dr. Layla Hajjar.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Layla Hajjar. I'm an OBGYN right here in the Detroit area. And so you might wonder why, as a doctor, I'm so much interested in human rights. What does population health have to do with human rights? Well, I can tell you it has everything to do with human rights. You know, we still see health inequities among racial minorities. It's still very prevalent. It is very much pronounced. And racism may be one of those important factors that causes those disparities. And we know, sure, poverty, lack of education, limited English proficiency, all those things contribute to inequity in health. But research finds that individuals who report feeling racism show worse health, both physical and mental health. And health inequities may be seen in many outcomes, in heart disease and cancer and life expectancy. One of the most blatant things to me is the health discrepancy in minorities in maternal death and in infant mortality. And so we know that societal inequities is going to lead to health equities. And until we eliminate that, unfortunately, we will not have health equity. So I thank Ahmed and his team and the AHRC for their work on behalf really of all of us. It affects everyone. And oftentimes the work is behind the scenes and maybe unappreciated, but we do appreciate everything you do and we owe you. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Brother Sharif. Assalamu alaikum. This is amazing.
MCC is such an incredible organization because you guys are on the ground. You're the ones that are on the front lines. You're going to the police stations, you're going to the hospitals. You're not just donating supplies and money, but you're actually taking those supplies and taking that food and taking the things that people need to the hotspots, to the place that people need it.
During these challenges, we continue to move forward. We urge everyone that safety, your own safety, and the safety of your loved one should always be first. This pandemic is not going to control our life for good. It's just a temporary phase, a temporary time, and soon we hope that we will regain back our lifestyle. And the next gala, we will all be under one roof celebrating that legacy, that victory over such a pandemic, such a virus that claimed so many innocent lives. One of those partners organizations that played an instrumental role helping the needy during these tough times is the DRMM, with Dr. Shad Odi and their message.
Hello, my name is Chad Adi, President and CEO of Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries, a non-profit organization that has been around for over 111 years, providing services to thousands of our hungry, homeless, and hurting neighbors in 5 Michigan counties. At the core of our various services is a strong belief in promoting and preserving human dignity. And that is the common ground we share with our partner, American Human Rights Council, AHRC, which is doing a fine job of speaking for the voiceless and standing with the deprived and oppressed. We commend Ahmed Ahmed and his team for their hard work and dedication to this worthy cause, and wish all of you a successful virtual gala. And we hope that you continue to support AHRC. Thank you.
Teamwork is what makes a difference. No person alone can be successful or can achieve any task without many contributing members. Many of them are hidden, silent soldiers, silent contributors, silent givers. They give you the empowerment. They give you the hope. They give you the support to keep going. Yes, maybe I'm the voice and the face for the AHRC as an executive director, but believe me, the work of AHRC is the work of so many great people, great members who founded this organization and who continue to do their utmost best to keep AHRC as a leading voice for the voiceless. In that regard, I would like to welcome one of our own board members, Mr. Naveed Ashraf.
Good evening. My name is Naveed Ashraf, and I am the co-chair of American Human Rights Council. Welcome to our annual but virtual gala in the year 2020. We thank you for being part of this fundraising event. Please stay tuned with us until the end of this event and become part of our AHRC family. You will be informed, educated, and entertained in tonight's gala. As all of you know, AHRC is a dynamic and one of the most respected organizations in the country. The work of AHRC speaks volumes for itself in social, civic, legal, and charitable areas. We have annual events such as fundraising galas like this one, but only in person and of course with food. AHRC hosts meetings, protests, and community events with themes like standing against hate, against domestic violence, against racism, against hunger, against human trafficking, and against terrorism, both domestically and internationally. We host guests and speakers, local, from here and from across the globe for these events. American Human Rights Council is proud to be an accredited NGO with the United Nations, where a delegate from AHRC represents women empowerment and women's rights every year. Over the past years, AHRC has been a loud voice and very active in defending human rights in America and other countries like Yemen, Palestine, Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Rohingya, Rwanda, Kashmir, and of course now in India. A great leader, well known to all of us, Mr. Nelson Mandela, once said, and I quote him, "To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity," unquote. Let us not deny anyone the basic right of being human. Help AHRC to continue fight for the human rights. Please donate and become a fighter to end injustice in the world. I thank you very much, and please enjoy the night. Take care.
And now we go back to end our program with the last guest and the last speaker, a founding member of the American Human Rights Council, Imam Steve Turk.
Greetings of peace to all. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Steve Mustafa Al-Turk, an AHRC founding and board member. There are two areas of concern among other issues of human rights: ICE detainees and prison inmates. AHRC is concerned over the rise in number of coronavirus infected staff and inmates. We want to know how the Department of Corrections is handling the coronavirus health crisis in the prisons and correctional facilities. The AHRC team, along with a diverse group of invited guests, local and federal judges, lawyers, professors, and community leaders, held a Zoom meeting in September with Ms. Heidi Washington, the director of the Michigan Department of Corrections, and her staff to discuss the impact of COVID-19 in the prisons and how she is handling the crisis. She and her team explained the preventative steps the department is taking to help protect the health of employees and prisoners. To lessen the impact of the health crisis, those who are on parole were released before their term. We are assured that the MDOC director and staff are taking every measure to keep everyone safe. AHRC previously called on state and federal authorities to consider releasing inmates who present no security threat. We called for a well-thought-out and transparent review process regarding inmates and their eligibility for humanitarian release. There is no social distancing in crowded prisons and jails. AHRC also urged the immigration authorities to consider granting a temporary release to those immigration detainees that are also facing the risk of contracting the coronavirus. Many of these detainees are not held for committing crimes, but for violating immigration law, a civil matter. They are not a threat. Many of these detainees are experiencing extreme state of emotional distress. At AHRC, we make sure that everyone's right is respected and granted. Our activities and engagements are based on a fundamental principle. Respect for human dignity is above any individual or institutional interests. Under such conditions, and with our limited resources working remotely, the AHRC team, led by the Executive Director Ahmed Ahmed, is actively engaged and continue to work hard and to monitor the situation. We encourage you, as we appeal to you, to visit our website for your humble financial contribution and support. Thank you so very much. Enjoy the rest of the program, and please stay safe and be well and healthy.
Now we're at the end of our show. And on behalf of the American Human Rights Council entire family, we thank all of you who watched our gala tonight. We hope that you enjoyed it. We tried our best to bring you the best. Our remarks were as limited as possible. You can imagine the load of work that we've been doing over the past few years, and especially this year that was very tough, very tough, very tough on all of us. Again, I want you to take serious notice of the list of the sponsors who supported AHRC this year and who supported this gala in particular. And join me in saluting them, thanking them, and please support them, because these proud sponsors, if it wasn't for them, AHRC would have not been able to do its work. And thank you again, and have a good night, and blessed holidays, and Happy New Year ahead.